The final season of Fear the Walking Dead was about big returns from the seemingly dead. First, there was original series lead Kim Dickens as Madison Clark, presumed dead at the baseball stadium in Season 4, who reappeared. Then it was Daniel Sharman's Troy Otto, presumed dead via hammer in Season 3, who somehow made his way back. We also got a surprise appearance from Alycia Nisenson's Charlie, who seemingly had terminal radiation poisoning. But then she pretty much immediately went and died again, this time for real. However, there was one more return from the grave Fear fans were desperately hoping for, and they got it on Sunday's series finale. It turns out Alycia Debnam-Carey's Alycia Clark was not, in fact, killed by the walker bite that took off her arm, nor by a vengeful Troy. Instead, she walked into a tent in the closing minutes of the finale to be reunited with her mother. The series ended with the reunited mother and daughter joining their new adopted family member Tracy to begin their journey back to where it all began, Los Angeles. As the sweet sounds of Merle Haggard's Mama Tried began unfurling, the trio jumped in their Jeep and started heading west. So how did the Fear team get their former star back on board? Well, that was the showrunner's dream, Kim Dickens tells EW. And they had no way of knowing because Alicia was gone. She was on to other things. She had run her course with Fear and her character. So they had pitched it to her like, we just want you back for one scene, and she goes like, well, lose my number for a little while and then we'll see. It was then that showrunners Ian Goldberg and Andrew Chambliss had to call in the big guns. As it got closer, they were like, Kim and Coleman, can you guys call her? Says Dickens. And so Coleman called her first, and honestly, she wanted to do it with us because she felt like we did. We'd started this thing together, and it felt right to really finish it for ourselves, for the story, and certainly for the fans. It's just something she really wanted to do. She came back, and we had the best 5 days together that we could possibly have, and it was wild. EW spoke to Goldberg and Chambliss to get the scoop on bringing both Alicia and Alicia back, the meaning of that ending, the other characters that almost made an appearance, and the craziest ideas that never made it to screen during the entire series run. Andrew Chambliss. After we cut the episodes, then the next question is, what do we want the title card to be? Usually, it's easy because it's who the episode was about, but the pressure was a lot more because it felt like we needed to come up with something unique to close out the series. And then we struck upon the idea of trying to show as many of the characters who contributed to this story as possible. So our wonderful post-producer, Kenneth Rekwa, spent a lot of time going through everything he could to try to include as many characters as possible. Ian Goldberg, I think Kenneth coined it the Sgt. Pepper's title card because of all the people that we used. Obviously, the thing everyone hoped to see was the return of Alycia Debnam-Carey as Alicia. So how did you pull that off? Ian Goldberg, we had the same hope as you and the same dream that the show would end with a reunion between Madison and Alicia. We knew Season 8 was going to be the end, but we also knew that Alycia Debnam-Carey was not going to be a series regular in Season 8. We knew that we had to start planning this story both for creative reasons and logistical ones, and it just felt like this show has been about Madison fighting for her family since Season 1, and it just had to end with Madison reuniting with her family. It's what the story wanted to be. So really, we just crafted the whole season with that in mind. We kept in touch with Alycia Debnam-Carey, just keeping her in the loop on what we were thinking, keeping an eye on our schedule as our schedule came together, and just everything aligned. We got lucky, but we did plan for it. There was a lot of meticulous planning. What was the backup plan if the schedules didn't line up? Andrew Chambliss, it's funny, AMC asked us the same thing. Ian Goldberg, Andrew and I would have flown to Australia. Andrew Chambliss, yeah, we would have dragged her on a plane. But honestly, we didn't have an ending that we felt was nearly as satisfying, and I think that was because deep down we knew this was the way the show needed to end. So why end with them heading back to Los Angeles? Andrew Chambliss, it felt like this was a show that started with Madison, the matriarch of a blended family in Los Angeles, so it felt like a fitting end to it would be Madison with a new blended family made up of her daughter. And then Alicia's surrogate daughter and Madison's surrogate granddaughter heading back to the place it all started.